Hello, how you guys doing? James here. I wanted to show you a video right quick of this is something very if you have property access and you don't want to. This guy gives some good advice on how to hide your assets from creditors online. But I just thought I.
You can form an LLC for $0 plus state fees.
And it's also another guy tell you how to get crypto. You got crypto.
Answer a few questions, and you'll be done in less than 10 minutes. Phil? Would you like to learn how to make your assets invisible to creditors and snoops? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that with many of the assets that you currently own. Put them in a place where no one will know that you hold on to these types of assets. All right, let's get started. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to hold your personal residence, your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, your investment real estate in various types of entities that will create a cloak of invisibility around your assets. And what do I mean by that? That if a creditor or anyone that was just decided to run an asset search on you, unbeknownst to you, would not be able to determine that you hold title to this asset. Now you're probably wondering, why do I need invisibility when it comes to holding title to assets? Well, it's really simple. Number one, if somebody was considering bringing an action against you, a lawsuit, one of the things that the attorney may do ahead of time before they file their claim is do a little background research. See if you're worth suing. Does this person have assets? Do they have something to lose? Because I know that it's a mental game in a lawsuit. If you have something to lose, then you're probably going to be more willing to sell for something rather than potentially losing everything. So we want to change the tables when it comes to someone bringing a search, looking for my assets, and then drawing that conclusion that, yeah, this guy's definitely worth going after. The second reason why this is important in becoming invisible is because if somebody does happen to get a judgment against you, let's say there's a lawsuit that's filed against you, you're not made aware of it, a default judgment is now entered against you, and I've talked to plenty of people where this has happened. They can say, hey, I was served in, or I was sued in New York, I never got served. They get a default judgment against me, and then once they have that default judgment against me, they go and they freeze my assets. Now, why were they able to do that? Because the individual that had this default entered against him, he owned things in a way that were easily traceable back to him. So this creditor could go and then grab the assets. Now, could you set that aside for failure to provide me notice? Absolutely. But that's after the fact that you find out about it when your assets have been taken or seized. So it makes it much more difficult for you to fight that battle, because now it's an uphill battle. It's not trying to keep your assets, it's trying to actually get your assets back. And so what we want to do with our planning is, let's make them invisible so people don't know that we have them, and at the same time, if they do get a judgment against me, they don't know where to go to collect on that judgment. So what I want to do is break down some of these assets and show you. It's real quick here on how simple entities can provide maximum protection from an invisibility standpoint. Okay, so what is the first thing we will talk about here? Your personal bank account, personal checking.
Here's how I accessed $30,000 from my home to pay off debt without refinancing or...
Your personal bank account, personal checking. Okay, not your savings account. Savings account, we'll discuss that in a minute, but your personal checking account. So most of us have our personal checking account in our own name. Your checks will have your name on them, and that's fine, great. You know, you have to write checks, they have to clear, and you want, people to know that they can accept this check when it's coming from you. But the problem is how the account is titled. It's not how your checks read, right? I can have a check right here that says Clint Coons on it, okay, and then my address right down here, and if I go to negotiate that check, they check my ID, and they accept it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the account that this check is drawn on has to have my name on it as well, okay? Because if it has my name on it, and it's using my social security number associated back to that account, then I've put this account at risk. Meaning if somebody gets a judgment against me, they can file what is referred to as a writ of garnishment on my bank. And what that does is it tells the bank, hey, I'm a creditor, Clint owes me money up to this amount. If you have funds up to this amount in an account that is in his name, then you pay him to us. And if you don't, then we'll sue you. You're liable to us. So banks will automatically freeze your accounts in this scenario when they're held in your name. So here's how we defeat that. The way you protect your personal checking account is you set up what is referred to as a privacy banking trust. Okay, so we want to create this trust here to hold our personal checking account. Now, when we set up the trust, we're going to come up with just any name you can think of. It does not matter here. There's no magic to this. I'll call this the Pickle Trust. Okay, that's all right. That works. But, you know, it'd be kind of weird if Pickle Trust showed up in my checks. That's why I said your checks will continue to read the same. So you set up your trust, Pickle Trust, Clint, trustee of this trust. So you'll be the trustee of your trust, you'll be the beneficiary of your trust. So once you've drafted the trust, then you'll obtain a EIN number for the trust. So that's really important as well. You have to have an EIN. You see, when people tie their social security numbers to their financial accounts, they're just leaving them exposed to garnishments. And it's a problem that I've seen time and time again. Whenever I speak to someone, they say, yeah, they froze my account. Oh, was your social security number tied to it? Yes, it was. Well, that's how it happened. So for your personal checking account, put it in a privacy trust. We'll call this the Pickle Trust with an EIN. It does not have to file a tax return, by the way. So we'll set it up with an EIN. You're the trustee now. Now that account is hidden. It's moved out of your name. It's in the trust name. Still your funds. Does not change your taxes one bit. Does not have to file a tax return. But you have that privacy. Okay, so that's your personal checking account. So let's now talk about a different asset. What about your savings and your investments? Okay, so when I talk about investments, what we're referring to would be your stocks. Okay, if you have a brokerage account that's in your personal name, anything that you have that I would look at as being kind of a safe asset that you're not going to be sued for, but you're going to be sued to get. Meaning it doesn't create liability for you, but somebody's going to come after you and they're going to want to take these things from you. So savings and investments. All right. So what we have to do there is, again, we have to establish an entity to get those out of your name, but we also want to set it up in a way where the entity itself does not relate back to you. Meaning, let's say I assume that I created a limited liability company here in Oregon. All right, when I file that entity in Oregon, this LLC, my name will be associated with it. So if someone was coming after me, they could run a search. If they went to opencorporates.com, if you went to opencorporates.com, you could put in my name, search for a manager or officer of any entity in the United States, and if I set up this LLC, my name will show up there, and my personal address. So then a creditor that's doing a background search on me would then have some semblance of what I own, because the businesses that I've formed, the LLC, is in my name. So we do not want to set up our structures that hold our savings and our investments in an entity that relates back to us. That's why for these types of this type of planning, what we want to do is we want to set up a Wyoming limited liability company. Now I'm choosing Wyoming over some of the other states, namely New Mexico, because people bring that up quite a bit. Hey, why not set up in New Mexico? I heard it's less expensive there. The reason why is asset protection. Because not only are we setting up a structure to provide anonymity, we also want to set up a structure that protects our assets from individual creditors. Because assuming, let's say they're doing an asset search, they can't find any assets, but hey, I've got nothing better to do for the next 2 months because I have no new clients, so I'm just going to take this one on and just go after this guy. We'll see what shakes out. Well, I want to make sure that even if they're successful, that they still can't collect. So I'm going to choose entities that not only hide my assets, make me invisible, but they also protect my assets as well. So this is one of those entities that will do that, Wyoming. Why is that? Because in Wyoming, when you set up an LLC, Wyoming does not collect information on who the members or managers are of this limited liability company. JP Morgan Chase.
Wow, ain't that something?
Healthier communities. Make the green grass grow. Wyoming does not collect information on who the members or managers are of this limited liability company. So when you're setting up your Wyoming LLC, it's best to always use a third party, like Anderson, to set your company up. Oh, shameless plug there. But the point is that when we set up our Wyoming LLCs for our clients, none of our clients' personal information will show up on the filing. We come up with a name for this. We're going to call this one Crazy Town LLC. We'll give it a virtual business address, so it's not related back to our client's address. We'll obtain an EIN number for it as well. That's key, got to get the EIN. And then Anderson is the registered agent and we're the organizer. So if Susie set up this limited liability company through us, we set up Crazy Town for her, and then after that account or that LLC is set up, she then will take her savings and her investments. So let's say she has a savings account with Wells Fargo. She'll go down to Wells Fargo, she'll say, I have Crazy Town LLC that I've set up, here's the EIN, here's my operating agreement, because you're going to have to show them your operating agreement. I'm the manager, I'm the member of this LLC, I need to open up a checking and savings account under my limited liability company. So once she's done that, then she'll take her personal savings and she'll move that personal savings account into this LLC. Now she'll do the exact same thing with her broker. So for example, if she has a brokerage account with Charles Schwab or some other broker out there, she will reach out to the broker and explain to them that she needs an application for a limited liability company account. And so then after she obtains that LLC account, she'll complete it, and then they'll open up a brokerage account in the name of the LLC. Now your brokers understand how to do this. I just recently opened up a new trading account with JP Morgan, and I went through the exact same process where I showed them my limited liability company, completed the LLC account application, and then I had an account opened. So now she'll be able to move her investments, then will roll over into this account. And so now everything is held inside of Crazy Town, and Crazy Town does not relate back to her. So now we've made these assets now invisible. So savings and investments, really simple to do. Crypto would go into this account as well. Make them invisible with a Wyoming limited liability company. Now if you're wondering about Delaware, yes, Delaware works as well, but it is more expensive. Do not use New Mexico, because in New Mexico, the LLCs do not have strong charging order protections, which means if you got sued and somebody comes after you, they could go after your New Mexico LLC and obtain your savings and your investments. That's why I'm choosing Wyoming for the asset protection. Okay, so another asset that we have here that's important to make invisible. How about your personal residence? All right. So with our personal residence, if we want that to become invisible, there's really two ways we can go about doing this. Okay, so the first way we look at it is that, does your personal resident have a mortgage? Okay, if the answer to this is yes, it does, then what we're going to do for our personal residence is we will create a residence trust for your personal residence. Now, residence trusts, if you're familiar with land trusts, they're kind of the same. However, there are differences in the provisions of these trusts. I see a mistake that is made by individuals who have watched my videos and maybe they're working with one of those internet entity mills and they say, oh yeah, we can do what Clint's talking about, and they basically put their personal residence into a land trust, and they don't realize that in using that type of trust, many times when you set it up that way, you've messed up your homestead exemption. You do not want to jeopardize your homestead exemption when you transfer property into a residence trust. You want to ensure that you maintain your homestead exemption, you maintain your mortgage interest deduction, and you maintain your 121 capital gains exclusion when you sell the property. So we draft the trust specifically to make sure all of the favorable tax characteristics associated with a personal residence are not jeopardized. So now, the property here, what we're going to do, we've got our personal residence. It has a mortgage on it. Now, why is the mortgage important? Because we don't want the lender to accelerate the mortgage when they see that it's been transferred. So transferring into a trust prevents that from occurring. So we set up our residence trust, and we'll call this one the fuzzy trust. Okay, so we set up the fuzzy trust. Then we will deed the property into this trust. Now when you deed the property, always use a warranty deed to move your property. Never use a quitclaim deed. Very important here from the aspect of someone looking at this overall transaction and not being able to sniff it out based upon the deed that you use. Quitclaim deeds should not be used here. So if this property was owned by Ben, and he's going to move it into the fuzzy trust, the way this provides Ben anonymity is Ben has to use a nominee trustee. Okay, so when the trust is set up, you pick a nominee trustee. That is someone who is going to serve as the trustee of your trust to take title. Now, when I bring this up, oftentimes people then pull back and they think, well, I'm not going to transfer my property in someone else's name. I lose control of my house. They'll take it from me. No, that does not happen, because the trust clearly spells out the control the trustee has over that asset. And if you set your trust up properly, the beneficiary, in this case Ben, who owns the trust, has all the control. The trustee is just there in name only. And I'd also recommend you always use an attorney. I've been on countless trusts for the past 25 years for our clients. Tens of thousands of trusts I've been listed as a trustee. And we also use now, actually my son, who's an attorney, he serves as the trustees now. He's taken over that role for me. And what happens is that when our clients deed property into the name of the nominee trustee, it would be deeded, let's say I was serving there, Clint Coons, Esquire, trustee, I misspelled that. I formed my LLCs with Zen Business because it cost me zero.
Well, yeah, that was some good information right there. But here's another guy talks about crypto.
How to cash out millions in crypto. If you're invested in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, ETH, meme coins, whatever you're into, and you're looking to make millions in the bull run, or you've already made millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you want to cash out that money, how do you do it without getting taxed through the balls at 50% or getting your bank account frozen? Because many banks all over the world want to close down your crypto accounts, want to restrict your crypto use. The EU wants to ban payments over 3,000 euros with crypto wallets. The US and the UK want to tax your crypto even more. These are all the strategies that my $1 million clients have used to cash out their crypto tax-free, or as little tax as possible, and easy. Now the first step that I recommend anybody to do is to choose a low tax or crypto tax-free country. And the easiest one that comes to mind is the UAE. The UAE, they have a 9% tax on companies, but it doesn't apply to crypto. So if you become a UAE resident, a Dubai resident, and then you spend the necessary time in Dubai, depending on where you're coming from. If you're coming from Canada and they want to seek tax residency somewhere else, then you need to spend 6 months in the UAE. You spend those 6 months, you cash out all the money in the UAE that you have, or you cash out all the money that you want to, and then you won't pay any taxes to Canada as long as you do it all properly. Make sure that step is done properly. In Dubai, you can cash out your crypto. The banks are not that crypto friendly. A lot of people say, oh, Dubai is crypto friendly. You can just spend your money. Yes, in general, society and people are crypto friendly. You can buy luxury cars with crypto. You can buy property with crypto. We've done it for many clients. You can just literally pay in Bitcoin, pay in USDT, and then own the home a couple of weeks later. But the banks will close down your account if you send $1 million in crypto. And a lot of people think, oh, I can just show the transactions. I can just show that I invested $10,000 and now I have $1 million. I can just show the bank my wallet. No, they won't want your crypto money. They don't want your millions that you made investing in Bitcoin. What you need to do is you need to do it very slowly and carefully. If you're cashing out your crypto, you don't want to do 1 million, 5 million at a time. You have to do 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, slowly building history with the bank. If you want to cash out millions, you have to do it through property or by buying luxury goods, luxury cars, anything luxurious that you can buy in crypto and then resell it later on. So Dubai, for tax purposes, works extremely well. You won't pay any tax on your crypto investments, but if you're cashing out to a bank, what you want to do is use other jurisdictions. One of the things that I've personally done that works very well is by having a UK LLP company or a US LLC company. If you're a US citizen or a US green card holder, forget about all of this because you're going to pay crypto tax anyway. They tax you through the balls anyway unless you renounce your US citizenship like I did or move to Puerto Rico. So US citizens, I'm sorry, this won't work for you. But for anybody else, you can use a US company or a UK company and then get a WISE account. And you need to be careful because WISE doesn't accept straight crypto payments. But if you do it through an exchange like Nexo is very smart in this regard. They give you a bank account inside of your exchange account. So what you can do is you can send, let's say, 100 Bitcoin to Nexo. Those 100 Bitcoin, you sell them for euros or USD within Nexo. And from Nexo, in your bank account inside Nexo, you send to your Wise account and it shows up as a personal transfer. So it shows that Rafael sent Rafael $1 million from Nexo to Wise. So it doesn't look like a crypto transaction, and then Wise is not going to close down your bank account. That's one strategy you can do, but for all of this to work, you need to be tax resident in a low tax or tax-free country. Other options that come to mind are Slovenia, tax-free country for crypto, Malta, if you hold it for over 1 year. Other places like Singapore or Switzerland that have very low taxes. Singapore doesn't have any capital gains taxes, or other islands and countries like St. Kitts and Nevis, absolutely tax-free crypto. Antigua, Barbados also works out really well. In Barbados, you can get tax residency in just 2 weeks legally. Spending 2 weeks in Barbados, you can fly in from Canada, from the UK, from Europe, spend 2 weeks in Barbados, you start a company in Barbados, you get residency in Barbados, and you get tax residency. And then once you have that tax residency, then you can start cashing out. The banks in Barbados are not going to accept your millions in crypto, but they're way more crypto friendly than many other banks around the world. Now, if you want to be very serious, let's say you have tax residency in Dubai and the UAE, or in Barbados, or anywhere in the world, and you don't want to mess around with sending 10K, 20K, no, I want to send millions of dollars to a bank account, and I want to cash out my crypto proper, then you can use Switzerland or Liechtenstein. There are banks in Liechtenstein that will actually accept your crypto payment. So you could send to the bank wallet 10 Bitcoin, and then in your bank account, you will have $700,000 or $1,500,000. Whatever the price of Bitcoin is at the time that you send it, you will have it in your bank account. They usually only accept clients who are willing to invest more than 1 million francs, Swiss francs, because that's the currency of Liechtenstein, into the bank account. But the great thing is, you can send straight crypto and have it protected by the bank. What you can also do is you can set up a trust, a Cook Islands trust. I've discussed this many times. That is the ultimate way to get full asset protection on your money. So if you get a lawsuit or if you get a divorce and you have it all in your personal name, you can get sued. That money can be taken away from you. But if you have it under a trust in the Cook Islands, and that Cook Islands trust has a Cook Islands LLC, and that LLC has a bank account in Liechtenstein, then all the money in that Liechtenstein bank account cannot be seized in the event of a lawsuit, or in the event of a divorce, or in the event of anything happening. And you can also protect it from your children from spending it crazily. They can get it when they turn 18 or 21. You can set different rules depending on how you set up the trust, and you can protect your money that way. And you can send money straight to the wallet of the bank, and they will transact it into Swiss francs. They will do some due diligence on your money. So obviously, if your money comes from illegal activity or any shady activity, they will flag it. They will send you your money back. You can't have it at the bank, but for most people it works out very well if you just want to cash out seamlessly millions of dollars. Other 3 countries that might work for you, especially if you want to cash out small amounts, you just want to have a quick and easy tax residency for your crypto to not pay any crypto taxes, would be Paraguay, which you can get in 2 to 3 days. Extremely popular now. Don't just fall for the YouTube videos. Oh, Paraguay is the best place in the world. Don't move your whole life to Paraguay. Visit it for a couple of days. See how you like it. But if you spend 2 to 3 days in Paraguay and you get a Paraguayan residency permit, you can be a tax resident in Paraguay, but you also cannot be a tax resident anywhere else. So that means that you have to nomad around the world. You can't just spend 6 months in Canada, spend 3 days in Paraguay, and claim Paraguay as your tax residency. It doesn't work that way. And other 2 countries could be the Republic of Georgia, if you can do their short-term tax residency program by showing a certain level of net worth. Georgia is also pretty crypto friendly. The banks, I wouldn't cash out too much money to Georgia banks. I've done it. They can close down your account if the transaction is over $15,000, $20,000, but at least you can send some money there. And also Kazakhstan, they have a 90-day tax residency program by getting an investor visa, and you can use some of their banks to cash out some crypto. There are many effective strategies around the world. The main important things to know are: 1, you need to become tax resident in a low tax or zero tax country like UAE. If you want to use Singapore, you're looking to become a resident of Singapore, prepare to invest millions of dollars in Singapore, but that works out really well for a lot of people. And once you have zero tax residency, then you can look at options. How do I cash out my crypto? You can use Liechtenstein. You can set up a trust in the Cook Islands. You can send money directly to the Liechtenstein bank and cash it out that way. Or you can use a US LLC, UK LLP, cash it out through Wise. I wouldn't cash out too much. I wouldn't cash out multiple millions, but it works out for a couple $100,000 for buying a property here and there. You can definitely do that. And look at options around the world to have multiple bank accounts so that you can be diversified as well. So not just having one bank account in Liechtenstein where you have all your millions. You want to have multiple bank accounts so that you can diversify in case anything happens with that particular bank. And if you want to buy assets with your crypto, like property, cars, watches, anything like that, you can do that in countries like the UAE. You can buy a property, you can rent it on Airbnb, create a different type of cash flow,
Gmail account with your own domain and...
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Main Street Business Podcast. I'm here with the amazing Matt Sorensen. We're talking about 10 crypto strategies the rich are using to protect their crypto strategy, to make more money, to save taxes, and build wealth.
These are the real strategies we've been actually implementing with clients who have invested over $100 million, and they're doing this to keep more money in their pocket and grow their crypto portfolio. There's a lot of information out there about how to make money in crypto. In fact, there's a lot of misinformation or too much information about this, but this is the legit strategies for real lawyers helping real clients. These are the strategies you need to know and need to be implementing to grow and expand your crypto portfolio and keep more money in your pocket.
Now, these are the types of things you're not going to find out there on the web with all of the background and additional information you need, because the tax lawyers and the tax professionals that specialize in this are not sharing their strategies on the web. We're going to share them here. But once you understand them, now you can captain your ship. You can find the right professional tailored to your set of circumstances, facts, situation, and you're off to the races.
And working our business in tax lawyers, we're also crypto investors ourselves, but we have a trust company with $1.7 billion in assets. We have a law firm that's nationwide helping clients across the country who are also investing in crypto. So we've got the strategies, we've actually implemented and done this stuff. We're going to get into the details here.
Let's dive into it, and we're going to work backwards. We're going to do a little David Letterman, a little ESPN, Sports Center. We're going to go from 10 to number 1. Now on our list, number 10, and this is, again, a strategy we've learned over both of us doing over 10,000 consultations, let alone our team that's meeting with clients every day, and we're collaborating. We've got our network of CPAs and enrolled agents around the country, our tax pros. We've got our ears to the ground here, I guess what you say, and we're really trying to learn anything that's out there. So we're going to kick off number 10, may I?
Yes.
With the asset protection piece, often overlooked. Now you may think, oh, you're talking hard wallet, or where do I put my keys? No. I'm talking about you texting and driving tomorrow and getting in a lawsuit. You may be old enough to have teenage drivers. You might have a risky lifestyle or other business. I don't know. But if you have the potential to get into a lawsuit, and frankly, if you live in America and drive a car, welcome to the club. You get in a lawsuit, they can go after your crypto wallets. Well, they won't find them. It's a, really? I thought this was a blockchain technology that everybody could see.
Yeah.
Well, that works for the plaintiffs too, because when they come after you, when you blow through that crosswalk and kill some kid, they're going to, under penalties of perjury and discovery and interrogatories and all the things that happen in court, they're going to find every freaking piece of crypto you own. And if you don't have it in a structure to protect it from those outside lawsuits, gone.
Yeah, and the asset protection here is unique. A lot of people think of, all right, well, I'll use an LLC. Okay, well, what kind of LLC are you going to use? This is not the same type of LLC you're going to use in a small business or the LLC you're going to use to protect yourself from a rental property. Because think about crypto. I'm trying to protect my crypto assets from my personal liabilities, because crypto itself doesn't create liability. Like a small business creates a liability. I could have a customer want to sue me. A rental property can create liabilities. A tenant could slip and fall, and they could want to sue the LLC that owns the asset. Here, crypto doesn't create liabilities. It's kind of like how we treated other investment accounts or other assets that's not liability producing. But we know as individuals, we can create liability. We can get sued personally. And how do I stop that person from getting at my crypto? Well, we're going to use what's called a Charging Order Protection Entity LLC. It's called a COPE. We typically like to use Wyoming in our office for our lawyers because it allows you, even if you just have one owner of the LLC, and this Wyoming LLC has a wallet attached to it, and this could be an institutional account on an exchange, or this could be a hardware wallet. You want to make sure you've got a good paper trail here. Now, if somebody sues me personally, they get a judgment against me personally. Can they get my crypto? Nope. They can only get a charging order against the LLC, which allows them to get distributions if I ever want to send anything out of there, but they can't force me to come in and sell my crypto, which could be at an untimely time when the market's down or whatever. So we love using the COPE for clients that have significant crypto assets that want asset protection to protect their crypto.
Now, we can talk about this strategy for an hour or more, which we have on prior podcasts, and I've got a chapter in my book on the COPE, and even here in my calendar, my annual calendar, I can just, for those watching on YouTube, I can hold up a table of how the different LLCs are treated in all 50 states and where you want to go. Wyoming may not be the only choice. We might look at Ohio. We could look at New Mexico. There's 13 COPE states. Where do you live? There's also the Domestic Asset Protection Trust in a couple states that can really accomplish the same thing. But how do you attach your wallets to it? Where do you set it up? How do you set it up? How do you maintain it? This is when you talk to a lawyer and don't play around on LegalZoom, because it's not going to work there. Now, we're not that expensive. We're talking about maybe $1,500 to $2,000 for the entire process, consulting with a lawyer who's going to leave it at that. If it interests you at all, and frankly, if you've got more than $500,000 in crypto, you got to be implementing something.
Yeah, you should be looking at this, particularly if you have any high risk in your life, a potential for lawsuits. So let's start there with asset protection. I think that was good at number 10, but I want to hit the wash sell. Okay, this is a tax strategy that is really critical and is unique to crypto. What a wash sell allows you to do is when the market goes down in crypto, and after you bought crypto, if it goes down, which we were having a lot of clients last year utilizing this. Yeah, a lot of volatility. Yeah, and in some ways this works in your favor. Know that you're in it for the long haul. Let's say I bought Bitcoin when it was at 60K, and let's say it went down this last year, went down to what? Let's say it was at 25 at some point. Okay, well I got like a 35K loss there. I can sell it down at 25 and lock in a $35,000 loss there. Well, what the wash sale rule allows you to do with crypto is it doesn't apply, so I can repurchase immediately that same day, and now the market goes up, and let's say the crypto's at 65 now. I still get that loss, but I don't have to pay tax on the appreciating gain. Now you can't do that with stock. The stock has this wash sale rule that says we don't let you sell assets at a loss and take the loss and then immediately repurchase it. There's all these holding rules and time rules of when you can repurchase, and so in crypto that rule doesn't apply. So it's kind of cool because there's this unique ability to lock in losses when the market goes down and then ride up the gain, but just don't sell on the gain on that crypto. Then go buy other crypto. So there's a lot of cool strategies there with wash sell that's unique to that, and we've had clients lock in losses last year or even earlier in this year, and now the market's way up, of course, and they're not paying taxes on the gains, but they're using those losses against other crypto. And there's rules on how you can use losses against other assets. I don't know, we have enough time to get into that, but something you can get into with your tax advisor.
Exactly. If you're a regular trader of crypto, and we know many of you listening here are just, I'm a buy, long-term hold, I believe in crypto, we're going to come into that concept as well, but if you're actively buying and selling and trading, you've got to have a strategy for the wash sale. Again, the weird part here is the wash sale rule does not apply to you. That's the point. You're like, well, I'm going to use the wash sale rule. No, you're not. You don't want to use the rule. You just want to know it doesn't apply to you in crypto. That's the concept.
Good clarification.
It's weird. Okay, I'm going to jump to number 8, and this kind of relates again to this asset protection. We're going to bounce around some different strategies and points here, is the hard wallet. The hard wallet is really something very important to the seasoned crypto trader. They've had scams, they've had people get to their keys and rip them off, they've had exchanges go through bankruptcy and disappear. Voyager was a painful experience for a lot of people. This adjustment in the crypto value this last 2 years also got rid of a lot of nefarious problem causers. And so, but it was a good learning experience. The hard wallet is something that is very, very important to that long-term position. How do you like to use it?
Well, I think a lot of people like to say, if you don't have your keys, you don't have your crypto. I mean, there's a lot of different ways people say that. And so the keys for your crypto, which is how you're going to access it and actually use it, is the most critical part to it. And a lot of people just leave it on exchange. And that could be fine. I mean, I get it. There's some convenience to that. Make sure you're using a regulated licensed provider in that. It's no wonder that the Voyagers and the FTXs of the world went out of business because they just had a money transmitter license, which like the payday loan store down the street, that's what they have to be in business. Okay, like use someone that's licensed and regulated, the Coinbases, the Geminis, and stuff like that on exchange. But if you're like, not even good enough for me, and I get that, I totally get that mentality. Go off exchange, and there's different wallets you can use, the Nano Ledger, the Trezor. These are basically things where you're storing the keys yourself. It's not on an exchange. No one else has control or access to this crypto. You can bring it back onto an exchange if you want to sell it, use it to purchase goods or stuff like that. We do have clients that pay our law firm in crypto too for services. That's a kind of de-risking that. Do I want the risk of my crypto being disappearing because I left it at FTX or whatever like that? And so, or even some of the hacks that have happened to Coinbase, and we've had individual client experiences with stuff like that too. Getting it off exchange. There's a downside to that. Is we also had people forget their Nano Ledger, lose it.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't have the actual little hardware, little thumb drive thing. You know, that's what these things look like if you're not familiar with it. And if you don't have your hardware wallet, you don't have your crypto either. You know, it's like it's in the computer. You know, it's like that it's in there. So like you also gotta be careful with that.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and with that shout out to the channel. Yeah, for those who are traveling overseas, who able to live overseas, this video was for you. Businesses and how you surviving, and take the information, you know, on how to stay protected. If you decide to leave the United States and survive over the United States, what countries you can go to over in another country, But this is some very good information. And if you have crypto and it's really interesting about, I kept hearing them saying about the make an LLC with the Wyoming, and all of this is legitimate. And this is how the way you protect yourself in a legitimate way. They throwing out some very valuable information. A lot of people don't know about information like this, so it's really good to check out these guys' channel, and they can probably go more in detail. But I don't want to go too far into that. But yeah, if you're a business person, man or woman, you have crypto and you want to protect it, and in case with the other information, you got properties, hey, go ahead and run with that information, man. And fill out a trust, because that's very important, because people will sue you. And then get you some protection, because like beware scammers and things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of people out here doing some low down stuff. So either you got the scammers, or you gotta find somebody that in the future that might say you did something and can come back on you and try to sue you. And that would be some good information. And it could be a good information if you're a divorced person. So take the information for what it is. I hope you hope it was really something. So hope this information help out you guys out there. And hey, I might apply for it myself when I get my finances up in order. Alright then, guys, take care and see you on the next video. Be blessed, and like and share and subscribe.